Good afternoon, good evening, or even good morning from wherever you are joining us. We are so happy that you have joined us this afternoon or evening, depending on the country you are watching from or even the time zone. Welcome to Julius Mbaluto Live. And we are coming to you all the way from London, the great city of London. Today we are so privileged. I've got a great man with me today to chat about his career. When we talk about diaspora communities from whichever country you are and wherever you end up, we find a lot of people from different countries on the ground in Africa doing a lot of good, great things. And we love to share these stories. We love to talk to people. Number one, they inspire us. They also bring faith back. We know, yes, it's doable. Whatever your pursuits may be, it's doable. So, welcome to Julius Baluto Live. Today, I'm joined by Jackson Simatei. Jackson Simatei, all the way from Kenya. He looks are deceptive. He looks a bit more like Yorkshire boy who drinks Yorkshire tea, but he grew up on the slopes of Rift Valley, all the way in Kenya, the most beautiful place on earth. Welcome to the show, Jackson Simatei.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
How are you finding out this Sunday afternoon as clock ticks towards the European Championship, England versus Italy?
Yeah, so this afternoon is really a great afternoon. We're just waiting for the game. It's a couple of hours away, so yeah, we're buzzing. It's coming home.
The funny enough, you're saying that UK government ministers were want not to use that phrase. It's coming home because there's other countries are finding that offensive. Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
it's football.
We
That's
don't
how.
want to offend anyone. We
Yeah,
know two teams will be playing later for the championship. What we know also very well, one team, not two, one team will win.
yeah. Out of the two, so whatever happens tonight is just it's going home. It's either coming home or it's going to Rome.
or, or he's
Rome.
going to Brexit back to EU.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Our viewers, wherever you are, another nice afternoon in London. We are happy we are going to talk to Jackson Simatei. Jackson has done a lot of things. I don't want to preempt what he wants to say, but actually, we want to just share with him because, from the early beginnings, because we don't want to spoil it towards the end. Jackson, from Kenya, what
Yep.
really what really inspired, I mean, did you find yourself, let's say for example, you're project manager for transport for London. You're also ex Royal British Royal Navy officer. So for starters, um, when you were growing up, did you even aspire one day to be either of the two?
No, not definitely. I grew up in Kenya, a young boy in Cherangan Hills, a place called Chamanada. We grew up barefoot, there was no ambition. The best job you could aim for was being a teacher or you get into the armed forces that or be a policeman. Then, of course, I did clearing and forwarding. Then I went to Mombasa. That's when my eyes kind of opened up. So I started seeing the world in a different way. I started having more aspiration. I wasn't saying enough is enough. I wanted to do more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to see whether I could, do something better. And what happened then? Yeah, so that's my humble beginnings. I grew up like every other boy used to watch on TV, growing up in the hills of Africa.
How was it like growing up is it Chirangai?
Cherangani, yeah, it was a bliss. We
Yeah.
had to look after cows, we had to look after goats, sheep, all the normal animals, donkeys, everything. And we live in those hills. You wake up in the morning, and the only thing, the nearest thing that we thought was modernization was going to Eldoret, which is the nearest biggest town. next door, which you had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to catch up what we call a matatu, which is a taxi, and it takes you 1 hour and 1.5 hours, and sometimes you may not get the space. As you know, the adults come in, and you children are forced to stand up in the middle of the van, holding a long pole we used to call Japan. So, yeah, so it was a nice, that was modernity was like that. I think when I was growing up, one of the things which inspired me was watching the Savard Rally. So Savard Rally was used what you call the World Rally Championships, and they used to come through to my village, and we used to go and come there and watch them driving. These Western drivers driving for 100 miles an hour, and we couldn't understand why. How would they survive? Of course, that's how I Ample began, and of course the missionaries coming to the village. You know, what we call them White Mzungu, turns up in the village to the Bible, and that's how we learned English.
Amazing. There's something in common we share, Savari Rally, because
Yep.
I was a great fan of Savari Rally. Where I grew up, they used to do movies based on these Savari Rally cars. We used to literally enjoy watching them coming, climbing up a platform, flying, and that was the most interesting bit. Seeing this car flying, we are thinking, is it going to land properly or will it roll? And it
Yep.
was lovely. Savari
Yeah.
Rally is something. I mean, World Championship is happening right now in Kenya again, which is really great news. Came back to Kenya after many years of
Yeah.
absence.
Yeah. That's our childhood. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. So let's say then you went schooling in Kenya.
Yes, I did a primary school in Chamunada. I did high school in a place called El Boynet within Elgeyo Marakwet County. And then I went to college in Eldoret, managed to get a job in Mombasa. That was in very late 1990s. And then, of course, I decided to emigrate from Kenya in 2001 to come to the UK to do further studies, and landed in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So I came to Birmingham from my, no local English to I'm from Birmingham. And that's how I
Wow.
started having that accent.
Yeah.
And I'm cutting the balls. I couldn't get it. I couldn't
Yeah.
understand. Why do they speak like this? But then I realized actually English is not the Queen's English, which we learn in Kenya. It's quite a different language.
Let me ask you your experience of North. I worked in the North, England, many times from Birmingham and Manchester for BBC and for Carlton Television. But yeah, traveling around in the northern part of England, and you are from another country, especially Africa, we have all this perception that English is just the same for everyone. But
Yeah,
the moment we start to travel from London, it will change in Birmingham. It keeps on changing when you go to Liverpool. By the time you land in Scotland and Ireland, it's
that's it.
totally
Different
different.
language.
Some of it sounds a bit more Kenyan accents in English
Yep.
more than anything else.
Yes. I know some of your viewers will understand. If they listen to players playing for Liverpool's football club, they will be shocked. The accent is completely different. It's not English. And there's a lot of they use a different Mancunian accent is different. You got Newcastle, you got the Yorkshire, Eastern Yorkshire as well, Southern Yorkshire, Northern Yorkshire, Cumbria, Lancashire, and all that stuff. And all the way from Birmingham. I mean, we live in London, but London is so diverse and more. It's got a different type of English. So yeah, and based on my career anyway, I've traveled around the UK a lot, and yeah, you get the accents.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. We are going for a quick break. Don't go away. We are today with Jackson Simatei, Project Manager, TFL London, and also ex British Royal Navy officer. So, wow, there's a lot to share. Don't go away. Keep sharing this link. And yeah, let us have this conversation together. Who knows? You may get inspired on this afternoon. There's a lot of things to inspire us. Our chats, but also we are thinking about football later in London. We're going for a quick break.
Niajiwase. TapTap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. Tumakitu.
Welcome back. Julius Mbaluto's live show is sponsored by Tap Send, and also you can send money from Canada through Tap Send. It's one of the fantastic countries that have joined. Tap Send is still operational from, but of course, many other countries in Africa. If you go to their link, you find out which other countries you can send money to. It's not just Kenya; it's operational in other countries in Africa. Tap Send is the way to go. Send money home. In Swahili, they say tuma kitu,
Tuma kitu nyumbani.
tuma pesa, tuma pesa nyumbani, tuma kitu. So yes, we are back with Jackson Simatei. So did you experience any form of cultural shock from Kenya to London or UK?
Yeah, I did. I was shocked. I came here in September like every other student. I came in after the September 11 event, so actually the country was very tense at that time. And then what shocked me mostly was the the culture. People are just different. People don't say hi to each other. I'm here used to being an African where I greet everyone wherever I see. I just say hello, hello. I don't care where they come from. But when I realized here is people just do their job, and then the other thing I was shocked about was timekeeping, whereby people don't. There's no excuse. If something is 8 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock. You don't come in 8 to 5, and then think that you've done it by arriving 5 minutes late. You will be given a proper, scolding for that. The other thing I found out here is professionalism. People are very proud of doing what they do, and they do it very well. There's no jack of all trades. People are specialists. People do what they know, what they get trained to do, and they don't do 15 things at the same time. And that's why you find the system works. The bus is supposed to arrive in 2 minutes. It arrives in 2 minutes. If the driver is late by say a minute, they always apologize. They always say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late because there was a traffic jam or something." They will give you an explanation. They just cannot come in and just bulldoze their way. The other shock I had was that people pay for things. You go and pick up things in the shelves, and you go and pay for it for yourself. You don't. No one has to be behind you checking how many items you got. And that was one of those things. I was used in Kenya. You hackle. You wanna reduce the price. Here, when I came, everything is priced up. You go and look at it. You don't have to ask the shopkeeper how much. You just look at the price, and that's the price he's gonna give you. Even if you try say, "Oh, I've got 1 pound less," he's not gonna. He says, "Sorry, go get some more money and come back." That was one of the shocks I had.
Yeah, the art of negotiating price, it doesn't happen, does it?
No,
And yeah, keeping time, you're right. You go to work late thinking you're going to negotiate, doesn't work, not in this place.
no.
It's definitely different, definitely different. Keeping time, yes. In some bus stations, you can always tell when the next bus is coming and it will be on time, which is amazing. I think there are great things about that. Yeah. But also, as you're rightly putting it, socially, you definitely will miss out because in most of African countries, everybody greets everybody.
Yeah,
In London or different parts of UK, you speak to somebody because you know them most of the time. If you don't know them when you're speaking, they may be confused. Who are you? What are you up to?
that's why they
different,
take offense.
different,
They take
different,
offense.
different. Some may take offense, like, what's your problem? And yeah, there you go. So let's now focus more on you. You came to join the British Royal Navy.
No, I came to university. So I came to University of Birmingham. Uh, but after 3 4 years, I decided to pursue a career in the military. So initially, I thought of joining the Royal Air Force, but then after going to what we call the career office in this country, it's not like in Africa or in Kenya where you turn up on a day and then you all run together, and then they choose the best ones and you go and become an officer. No, here you've got a process. So there's a weekly recruitment, campaign. So I went to what they call Armed Forces Career Office, and I got given a career choice on the, what choices, what jobs do I want to do. I was given that option. I was given a book. I was told to go away, read that book, understand what the jobs are, and then come back and tell us what you want. So when I went back, I said, okay, you know what? I want something that, something lining to what I know, which is import and export, clearing and forwarding, uh, cargo documentation, logistics. So I wanted to be a logistics specialist. And I was allowed to join as a member of the Commonwealth. So what happens is the UK every couple of years, every couple of years they allow a certain number of Commonwealth citizens to join its armed forces, as long as they have this, what we call security clearance. So I joined as a logistics specialist in 2005. I remember the date, 16th of May 2005. Went to HMS Raleigh, which is down in Cornwall. They call it Devon. It's on the border. Uh, Went there for 9 weeks training, and then I went for my phase two training, which is a specialism. A couple of months on that, and then I went to what we call on the job training, which is I went to a naval station down in Cornwall. So if you remember where the G7 was, so I was there. Yeah, so that when I arrived there, so my career kind of changed. It was at the time at that time the armed forces were the UK forces were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. If you remember those days, and they wanted linguists. And being a multilingualist from Kenya, initially without even training, I speak our local dialect, I speak Swahili, I speak English. So I was identified as a potential candidate for language training. And I did what we call aptitude test, and I passed with flying colors. Being an African language, not a problem. And I was fast tracked, so I was taken off my normal career, which I should have gone on for another 2 years before I could be allowed to be leaving to go and do something else. But because of the need, what we call the military need for linguists, I was relieved. So I was taken off outright from the Whitehall to get off from my training and go straight and do language training, which I came to London, a place called Beaconsfield. It used to be called the Defense School of Languages. I started 18 months Arabic intensive course. So I was supposed to be trained to Arabic level 2, but I surpassed that. So I did up to Arabic level 3/4, which is I was almost proficient as a linguist who was born in the Middle East. So I learned what we call modern standard Arabic, so which was the standard Arabic spoken in the media and is understood everywhere across the Arab world. So that's how I moved from being a logistics specialist to an intelligence analyst, a stroke interpreter. Uh, Finishing that, I was deployed to Iraq. I don't want to say exactly where because of security reasons, but I worked 8 months as a linguist. So I did have what we call a headache. That was headache 10, I think it was, not a TELIC 10. So I came back from that Iraq. So I came back and went back to my finishing of my logistics training because I left it in the middle. So I went back to what we call back to naval, back to Colrose, came back again, came out of Colrose, went on board ship, HMS Sutherland, where I worked as a logistics specialist for a year, 1.5 years. And I was moved out because I had done my sea time. So I came to Northwood Navy Command, which is outside London, close to M25, close to Watford. And my job then become a global logistics specialist or global logistics manager. So I used to send priority items to all ships and fleet, including submarines and aircraft carriers, landing crafts, landing platforms, everything else, fisheries protection, and all that. I used to look after them. That was when I left there. I went to Afghanistan in 2011, 2012. Then I came
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We'll come to Afghanistan. Amazing
yeah.
things happening. Yeah, brilliant. Wow, amazing. So probably what you are telling us is that your experience as clearing and forwarding also helped to what you chose to do, which was logistics.
Yes. So I do I know parts I know logistics inside out. So basically I know
Yeah.
A to Z. If you want something sent to Mr. Baluta, I'll do what we call reverse logistics. So I know where you are and then calculate it backwards. That's how it is.
Oh, I want to be shipped into a country that I can't go to right now.
Yeah, as long as you don't go through COVID raids.
It's just a joke, but but no, it's amazing. You've really done great there. You've really done great there. I really like what you have done. We're going for a quick break. We'll be back. Don't go away. I'm with Jackson Simatei, a Kenyan, British, and all things, Commonwealth citizen, doing great things here in London. So don't go away. We're going for a quick break.
Thank you.
Niaje wase. TapTap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. Tumaki too.
Jackson, before we went for a break, yeah, you talked about logistics and very important, but I want you to help us understand. A lot of people, when they hear the word Royal Navy, it starts and ends there. And when it comes to warfare, a lot of people think you have to wait until the war comes near the water. That's when you fight. What this misconception that people have about the Navy, or perhaps when they say there's this submarine. So nothing is happening in water, people think, oh, okay, those guys are still staying submarine idle.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
No, definitely not. And as you will understand, the navies around the world, they don't know how to sell themselves. People, when they see a war, the people you see on the ground, the first ones will be the army. People in boots, what we call boots on the ground. But people don't understand this. The logistics behind the boots on the ground is to bring your ship closer to it. So, what small country? I mean, the world powers, UK, Russia, America, and everyone else, they have what we call a floating army, flotillas. So what they do is they want to come and fight you in your backyard. They don't have to send missiles all the way from London. They bring the ships next to you. And then they bring the aircraft carrier next to you. They bring the landing crafts next to you. They bring the helicopters next to you. They bring the food next to you. So now they can fight you next to you. They don't have to get an air force. They don't need an airfield because you got a runway on the sea, which is sitting on a big, massive aircraft carrier. So that's what people don't understand. Submarines are there; they're strategic assets which fight wars. They bring the war closer to you. They come and fight you next to your door, and you've got no choice but to submit to their fights. That's how it is. So when you hear the Americans saying that we've got our Middle Eastern fleet, it means they've got a number of aircraft carriers, they've got a number of ships, they've got a number of destroyers, they've got a number of frigates, and each one of them has got different jobs. So these anti-submarines are frigates, air defense is destroyers, and you bring all these ships and all these submarines and all these landing craft and small boats and thousands of soldiers and marines and airmen next to your door and sailors. So people don't, because they are not seen, no one sees them. You just see the army, and then they think that's the war. That's not the war. That's the war is behind the scenes.
Wow, wow, amazing, amazing. No, it's good for us to know and understand. But of course, there's always this in the relationship between different forces. When a country is at war, isn't it? So you have the army, boots on the ground, as you say. You have
Yeah,
the Royal Air Force on the air,
yeah.
and
And
the
then you got
Royal
the navy.
Navy
That's it.
through the water. So
Yeah,
they are working together in a different way.
yeah. The
Really.
main strategic plan is to win the war or achieve the mission. So you use what we call assets. So all these assets mean that you use everything at your disposal to do the job, and also protect yourself. So if you look at the UK is cut off from Europe, so they need to protect what we call our shipping fleet. So we got ships which do what we call naval patrols around the country, and that's another, you can go around UK in 2 weeks time. So another ship takes over, and that's how it is. We protect ourselves.
Yeah. No, it's good to know. It's really good to know how it works. But now let's talk about then. Yeah, of all the places, of course, I think these were the early days when, for the very first time, that the troops united. I think it's UK, US went to Afghanistan. Um, Probably, I'm thinking that was the first time, very first time it started to happen. Probably clarify for us if it wasn't. And yeah, you went all the way to Afghanistan. How was it like?
So yeah, when the war against Afghanistan started after the September 11 events of the Washington and Washington DC and New York. So they initially it was to host, get rid of Taliban and its machines and all the famous guys who went out there. So, but that war continued for years and years and years, and it was an eye opener because when I went there, I was shocked to find that that country had been bombed to Simatei. There was nothing. So we are rebuilding everything. We're starting afresh, getting these guys, training them, making sure they can look after themselves, because this country had been in war for so many years. Mujahideen days, and children don't go to school. There's no education. Everything is wrong. They live in the mountains. It's a very nice country, very beautiful, but then at the same time, very lawless. Everyone has an AK-47, for example, and they don't see the value of life as we, as in Africa or in the UK, in the Europe or everywhere. The way we look at life is different to them. So they see life as if it's something which is far much more valueless than what we see. So yeah, I went there. It was a bit shocking for me. It was culturally shocking, but what I saw is what I see in Africa. Poverty is poverty. People are poor, and it's the same, and people survive.
Yeah, so just like in Africa, there's that poverty in Afghanistan, people struggling. But what you are telling us is that those guys are armed.
Yeah,
Almost everyone you're saying has got a gun.
yeah. So
Wow. Was it really challenging for you? What did you find it very challenging? And what was like the immediate reaction when you guys on the ground you saw the way it looked like, the country, the way it was like, and people who don't care even they're like, okay, we don't even fear death itself.
Yeah, so it was similar to Iraq in the sense that in Iraq we had different challenges. The locals wanted to have peace, so people were not the ones who were fighting us were organized gangs rather than a normal local guy who lives in a small village. That guy wanted to make sure his kids can go to school. They were more educated. They were more willing to talk, and maybe because I was going, I had a direct interaction with them because of my job. But in Afghanistan, what I found out is everyone used to hit. One in the daytime, you're all friends, but in the evening they send your missile, they send your rocket. So it was always where we used to call it the rainy shower, the shower time. So sometime between 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock, there's a lot of rockets coming across to your camp, and you're always looking for shelter. And these were with deadly rockets because I remember we lost a number of people to them, and that was shocking. I also, I think, I lost a friend, and I met a Zimbabwean guy who was working as a contractor, and we had lunch together. And by 4 o'clock, he was no more. So that's how dangerous it was. That's how bad it was, but it was risky. The moment when you're at war, you're at war. Anything can happen to you anytime. There's no guarantee for the evening. I mean, we can say we are now talking about football, making jokes about football tonight, but we are very sure London is not going to be bombed up. So we are very sure. Yeah, we're willing to go and watch football in the evening. But in those countries, you cannot even promise yourself that you'll be talking to anybody in the evening because anything can happen. That was how dangerous it was, and yeah, and then we used to work with Americans, and it was a similar situation. Quite a very dangerous place to be.
Wow. Yeah, sorry for the loss of colleagues and all that. It's not easy to be in a war zone, and that moment when you look back to all the way from Rift Valley. Now here you are, Afghanistan, fighting for what? Britain,
Yeah,
the king in the country.
yeah.
I know the danger is also thereabout, but did you have that moment? You're like, I can't believe I'm already here doing this.
Yeah, it was a daily reflection, but sometimes you think of it. But then once you've decided to take a course of action in your life, you got to deal with it. You live with that. You don't have to say now I'm scared, so I need to go back to my looking after my cows in Germanada. I will know. I wanted to make sure I do my mission, do your job, be professional, come out of it alive, and that was what I did. So I came back in 2012 and. Served on HMS Daring, which is a destroyer, for a couple of months, and then I moved back to Northwood, and then I started my departure. So I left after 2 years. So I left in
Oh,
2014.
between Afghanistan and Iraq, which came first?
No, I was in Iraq first, so that was
Okay,
2007. Yeah.
okay. Equally
So,
dangerous.
pardon?
Equally dangerous, yeah.
Equal dangerous. I think one of them was more dangerous. I think Iraq was more higher risk because of the role I was doing. So I was facing much more danger than. But I think I was younger, so I had so much adrenaline in me, so I was just everything was pumping up. So you go through and you just sometimes you don't even think of them. You when I think
Yeah,
about them now, when I reflect, it's really scary. I look at movies, what people put up, and that's nothing. That's that's not
yeah.
that's scary. Yeah, they make it up, but yeah, some people go through that.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. We are going for a quick break. Julius Mbaluto Live is sponsored by Tap Tap Send. And also, just to let you know, you can send money from Canada now, any other countries in Africa, you can send money to. So, not just Kenya, Tap Tap Send is operating on the ground from the west to Africa, sending money.
Niajiwase. TapTap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate, hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. Too mucky too.
Welcome back. You can see some of our viewers. Ernest Ntaya. So we're watching all the way from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. Thank you, Ernest, for being with us. Of course, share the link, let more people watch and continue to be with us as we chat along the way. Before we went for break, Jackson, yeah, we have seen you've been there in Iraq, you've been there in Afghanistan, and life has changed. You even increased your linguistic store, and you studied Arabic as well. How was it? How did you find it?
I found it was a challenge. I found Arabic was more challenging because I had to write backwards. So I had to write opposite. So and I had to read opposite as well, and I had to think opposite because the way we do in Swahili, when you say I want to go to school, you literally you translate that English into Swahili. Nataka kwenda shule. It's me wanting to go school. So that's how it is. But in Arabic, saying "هذهب إلى madrasa," or I'm going to school, or "أحتاج أذهب إلى madrasa." So you have to think opposite way because you have to put the verb in the beginning, and you put yourself in that verb, and then to the subject. So that's how that was quite challenging. But then when I look at it now, it's just I sometimes think that way. So I think things back up, no,
When you are
from back.
tired, when you are tired of going one way, you switch to the other.
Yes.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good to
Yes.
have those experiences. Those experiences. So therefore, a career in military, a career in Royal British Royal Navy, all that time, you definitely met iconic people. You definitely had those moments of meeting great people. Do you want to give us some of the names of these great people, the big experiences?
Yeah, I mean they're famous, isn't it? So I've managed to meet, yeah, one of them here is Rose Camp. Rose Camp does what we call Health for Heroes. So we do a lot of charity work for veterans who are wounded and injured. So we met with him a few times, and he used to call himself Musungu number one because he did a very good documentary on Mungiki in Kenya, and I think some of you will have seen his program. Very good guy, very jovial. I've also met the former Prime Minister, Theresa May, when she invited me to number 10 Downing Street. And yeah, that was for an event to commemorate and help. It was on the Remembrance November ceremonies. And yeah, as you can see on the picture, that was the former Chief of Staff. I think it was the Air Marshal PG. I can't remember his name now. It's a long time. And yeah, and I had met all the directors of some of the charities in the UK. I've also been invited by the Queen to go to what we call the Buckingham Palace Garden Party. That was me in Buckingham Palace in 2018. Very nice May time, and me dressed up properly representing Kenya with my medals and everything else. Yeah, so I've met before that. I've got other photos. I've met other famous people. I've never shared. Usually, I try to stay private, but these are the most famous ones. I still do a lot of charity work. So every year I help what we call SAFA to do what we call 13 Bridges Challenge in London. Within my workplace, I'm also one of the senior members or senior founding members of what we call Staff Network Group, where we look after veterans and serving reservists and everyone who wants to come and join our great organization in London, TFL, which is means Transport for London. Yeah, so that's me on during and leaving. So that was the time. I've been very active in charity work. So I do every year. I do, apart from last year, of course, when the pandemic came along. But I've been doing a lot of charity work, and I'm also an ambassador to what we call the Greenwich Hospital, which is one of the oldest military charity, formed in 1694. Up to now,
Ah,
we still
wow.
look after. Yeah,
Just just before I decided to be born.
yeah, way before that. Yeah,
1694. That's a long time. That's a long time ago. A long time ago. Wow. Okay. So ambassador from Greenwich
hospital.
Hospital.
Yeah,
Okay.
they own the Greenwich Maritime College, and they own the. If you remember now, we're working on what we call Greenwich Mean Time. So that Greenwich Mean Time is based on that military, Greenwich, what we call Geographical Society. It's within that area, and we own it. So you can imagine
Mm.
people owning those places, and that's before time, before they decided this is GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. So it's quite an history.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of people go to Greenwich to watch the home of GMT time, Greenwich
Yes.
Meridian time. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's very historical. It's very historical. And your charity with ex-military. I mean, yeah, like many people don't know, but what's the plight of these people? I mean, you find a lot of people who have been hurt during war battles, and they just come. Is that the
Yeah,
group of people you are looking
yeah.
after?
So unfortunately, every war is got its own casualties. It's not the ones who have died; it's the ones who survive. When you survive, you may succumb. You don't get looked after properly. You succumb to mental issues, and one of the challenges, the biggest challenge you have, is Most guys suffer from what we call PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Seeing your colleague die is not an easy thing to, and to live with. And when they come back to society, they don't usually adapt. Remember, some of these guys joined the military when they're 16, 17 years old. At least for me, when I joined, I was in my early, I wasn't very young. I was older. So these guys cannot, they don't know nothing else. So when they leave, they come out, they don't even know how to look after themselves because they've been looked after ever since their young days. So we look after them. So we give them back what we can. I can't give them money. I can give them advice. I can give them. I do look after their when they do what we call CV workshops when they come and ask for when they want to do anything else. Just hold on 2 seconds. Hold on. Yeah. So I was saying what they do. Hold on.
It's okay.
What they do is when they when they want to apply for jobs, they don't even know how to write a CV. So that's when I come in. I take the CV, I build it up from zero, make sure that they get the CV is tailored to the job they want. Because although these guys come with so massive skills, they don't know what they want to do with it, and then they end up not knowing what to do. And that's where my experience comes in. Yeah, sort of that.
Yeah, brilliant. No, it's good work you're doing. It's good work you're doing. I have maximum respect for soldiers. They do great work to protect all of us. Actually, they make a lot of sacrifices, and whenever I see those who have been hurt during war and they are still around, I always again have maximum respect for them. And I do believe that also society, we need to be sensitive. We shouldn't be like waiting until pandemic like corona comes and it becomes a moment we are going to clap for the nurses and the doctors.
Yeah,
We need to clap for the military, for the work they do to protect us before anything else. And those who are around, we need to appreciate them. I think they do a great work at their
that's true.
own cost, at their own very dear cost. They they
Yeah,
they
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 sacrifice a lot. So some few give their all. That's what Sir Winston Churchill said. Some very few people give all for the rest of everyone else, and those are the armed forces. The world wars, everything else that's happening around the world. Some people sacrifice. They put their lives in front of everything, in front of danger, to make sure that everyone else sleeps at home with no, without having to fear. But that's how it is. That's why I give up. I'm a veteran, and I believe that we need to look after our veterans, give them the best thing that we can give them. Yeah, I think we've talked about that so long. Where maybe
Yeah,
let's
sure.
talk
No
about my
worries.
career now.
We are now going for a quick break, and then we'll come to talk about different subject. Project manager, TFL London. Let's go for a quick break.
Thank you.
Niajiwase. TapTap Send Money Transfer has launched its app in Kenya. Send money to M-Pesa and Kenyan bank accounts. Send money quickly at the best rate. Hassle-free. Available in the UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium and Germany. Tumaki too.
Yes, exit British Royal Navy. We find you working as project manager TFL London. Is it also something to do with logistics? And I'm aware that you quite like things that are logistic based. So TFL London, I know if you can ask me straight away, what do you think about TFL London? I'll just talk about the trains, the buses, the roads, the closures.
That's how it is.
But is that what should come in our mind? Because when you're there, you're dealing with logistics again.
Yeah, so project management is although it's more wider. It's more wider. You need not only logistics background, but you also need technical background. You require knowledge engineering, understand how engineering works. You also require to know, understand programs. You also understand how to run budgets. You need to know time scales, milestones, and getting things on track and making sure that you can translate what we call strategic milestones or strategic activities into a program. So that when it comes to London, you look at London, you think of, there's almost 10 million people living here, more twice the number of people living in Scotland. It's one of the biggest cities in Europe, and we move them. These guys are not all. If you drive your car through London, we'll charge you congestion charge, we'll charge you emission charges. So it costs you more to drive around London, and what it costs you less to use our public transport, which is underground. You got overground, you got London Rail, you got suburban rail, you got the Dockland railways, you got everything you want. The buses are there, and they are very efficient. So to run that efficient uh, transport system, you require people with knowledge, and that knowledge means that this is where we come in. Our background in the military, my understanding of how things work and how to make things work was a very nice fit to come into. So when I left the military, I just came straight into. I went to Amazon, the big giant company, and then later on I decided to move to TFL. And TFL is it's a very good company. It's a very busy, so big, so massive, and it's so efficient. And I think you will attest to that. We look after trains. Every 1 minute there's an underground train coming, and it's always full. And pre-pandemic, of course, before COVID came along and messed up things.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so one of the things I look after in what we call healthy streets. So long time ago, in the beginning of the millennium, maybe in 19th century, people used to drive cars. So no one used to go to work, have a nice leisurely walk in the town center. Now, because we're reducing cars, we want people to go for more walking around and keep healthy, breathe nice air. You don't want to be smelling of diesel fumes coming out of the cars. So we want to convert town centers into what we call healthy streets. Give more people more crossing points so that when they go on the roads, they don't have to be, they don't have to fear for their lives. We reduce speeds, make sure that speeds in the town centers are reduced, maybe from 30 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour, and all the stuff. That's what we do, and it's year in year out. We're changing the way London looks like.
And converting many normal roads from my car into bus only.
Yes, that's one of the other ones. Reason being, we want you to. Remember, if you have a car, it costs you money. That car sits there. Every day you have a car, it loses value. Secondly, that car, although you have to insure it, you have to road tax it, you have to put fuel on it. I know it's a vision. You want to go on that car, but in the long term, we don't want to look at the NHS or about your health. So, Mr. Mbaluto, if you at the distance which you were using, you can walk for 5 minutes or maybe a mile down the road. If you walk that 5 minutes and you walk back 5 minutes, that's you walk 10 minutes, which means you've given yourself a longer life. But if you sit in that car and drive for 5 minutes and then drive back 5 minutes, you've only walked from maybe your door to door and then on the other. So you haven't walked the actual 5 minutes. You've just walked 30 seconds, 30 seconds. So your life is shortened. So that's what they're looking at. Now they want to get rid of all cars or reduce the number of cars as much as possible, make people walk a lot, make people get more active. And then you save your NHS, you save your health services and everyone.
Yeah, it sounds very good when you say if I walk 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I give myself longer life. I just know one thing for sure. I only get tired.
Yeah, but then the benefits are high.
Seriously, is that not taking away value of my life? When I'm tired, am I not wearing out?
No, you're walking your muscles. That's how we look at it. Your muscles are getting up, your heart is getting better, your tummy is getting better. You don't have to go to the gym. You go to the
Mhm.
gym, 5 minutes walk, 5 minutes back.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's okay. Never mind. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people driving to the gym,
We should be.
getting out of the gym, jumping in the car, and I'm like, that would have been warming up, exercise towards the gym.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what is most interesting now with your work at TFL? What do you find more exciting? And are there any challenges as well?
Yeah, I think my one of the challenges I do get is the fact that I look at life in a very different perspective from what I used to look at in the military. So, to me, I look at TFL as a launching pad to hopefully, in the future, transfer that knowledge and that skills and that ideas and what we learn and take it to our developing countries because we're not going to be here forever. So it will be nice to once we retire, we take the same skills and give it back to our people back home in Africa. You know, I want to see a Nairobi. I want to see a Mombasa, Dar es Salaam. I want to see Limpopo. I want to see Lusaka with very better transport system as good as the West, whereby traffic is being controlled. There's a good transport system. People are being moved around in a better way rather than everyone goes by use our own car. So we shouldn't all be in the road at 3 o'clock. We need to change our economies. We need to work like London, where in London or all the other UK cities, it's a 24-hour economy. So you don't have to go all of you at 7 o'clock in the morning to go arrive in the office by 8 or 9 and then leave at 5, all of you. You want to stagger them so there's a team who can start at 6 in the morning, finish at 2 o'clock, which means they leave the house or where they live in a, you provide a bus service, so they just jump on the bus at 5 o'clock. They're in the office at 6. They crack on 2 o'clock. They jump on the bus. They are home by 3 o'clock, which means they get a better work-life balance. We want that economy in Africa. We're wasting time. We're wasting energy. There's a lot of energy. We all go home at night to watch television or just watch whatever, and then all of us wake up in the morning and all turn up on the same roads. So no wonder we are all frustrated because people. I remember when I was in Nairobi with a couple of years ago. My friends' children used to leave the house at 5 o'clock in the morning for a classroom at 9. That's too much for a young child. But then when you look at it, they have no choice because if you leave at 7 or 6, you get stuck in traffic jam. I want that to be past tense. London used to be like that, but we got rid of it. We got the technology, we changed the signals, which respond what we call it intelligence transport systems, where everything is controlled from one position. So if one guy can sit in the office, a massive screen computer, and it tells you this there's a lot of traffic jam in this road. You know how to release the other side. So that technology exists, and then we also want to have our people to have a better life, better economy. Hopefully, we can build our economies. As you can see from now, when it came to the pandemic, even Kenya had to chip in because there's no one in the UK is manufacturing a face mask, for example, or PPE. So we want that to be diversified, logistics to be around the world. We don't have to have everything coming from China. I want to one day sit in Eldoret with a massive factory that makes juice, and I want you to be maybe making mango pulp from Machakos or somewhere like that. Someone in Mombasa is making, cloves, those spices. They ground them, and then they just bring them around the world. You don't have to move around. Everything is now in the UK. Almost 70% is imported. So when this global supply chain kind of crashed, you see the way they were all running for toilet paper, which was the joke of the century. But
It was one commodity that became very rare.
it's become very rare, and that was not because of anything. It's just because the perception. Because toilet paper is not made here; it's made abroad. So they think the last thing that it's not gonna arrive. So that's it. Everyone goes for it. So yeah, but the world is connecting, and I think we need to learn. We need more people to come here, benchmark, come and see what we do. Politicians don't come to benchmark in the UK and go to Oxford Street for shopping. They should be coming and looking for Julius Mbaluto and say, "Where's everyone?" I'm not alone in underground. We've got a few other Kenyans, and we've got so many Africans. One of the shocking thing is, if you look at congestion charge, it was designed by King's College, which was led by one of the Kenyan professors. So We're everywhere,
He can as well design Nairobi underground system.
which is what I want. It's very easy.
Given the chance,
Yeah, I don't need the chance. I just need blueprint. I need what we call political will. If the government is willing to do it, all we need to do is get PPP, which is private public partnership, and then just do a lease and say, you come and build us the underground. We run it together, and we pay you off in 30 years. You don't have to have money. You just need the willpower.
that's very valuable. That's very valuable. All this knowledge we gain wherever we are, whichever part of diaspora we find ourselves, is very important to give back to community. And yes, I think you're right, Jackson, there, advocating self-reliance. Although you made a mistake, mine won't be mango juice. I prefer banana juice.
Sorry.
That's what my factory will produce.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
export it
yeah.
to any country, you know?
One of the
Yeah,
big mistakes in Africa is
self-reliant.
big mistake in Africa is we sell the raw material. We don't sell ever. We've never any added value to anything. So our coal gets out of Africa. It gets here. It becomes the small company, whatever they call themselves. Our diamonds, they become they get to Europe. They go to somebody's house. It becomes somebody's name. Our tea, Kenyan tea, we call it Yorkshire tea in this country. We call it peachy tips, but that's Kenyan tea. It's Kenyan tea. They just don't want to tell you.
Please don't remind me the day that I met a Kenyan politician who wanted to see the plantations of tea in Yorkshire.
Sorry.
We're in trouble,
Yeah.
aren't we? The
Yeah.
problem is value addition. Africa, we have a lot of natural resources, but we tend to send raw materials to rest of the countries instead of producing finished goods to export, which we can do. So that's a challenge to our leadership in African countries. Think about these things. Don't just send gold to be exploited in the Western countries. You can exploit it. Why don't you make gold products, even sell them? Begin to talk about how many number of carrots they
The
are.
carrot. Yeah. Yeah.
As from Africa to the rest of the world. Why not? No, it's amazing. It's been a fantastic opportunity chatting you. What would be your last word to someone who may say, "Oh, I'm watching this. One day I may want to be have a career as fantastic as our brother here, Jackson Simatei." What would be your last word?
So I would say this: I am here. I was like one of you. I was there. I did everything that you think you did. You went through. I went through. So there is one something called the internet. The internet is now free. When the internet came in the late 90s, early 2000s, we used to pay massively. For me to get 1 minute of browsing, it wasn't even browsing. It's like you're checking your emails. You have to pay 100 shillings. So imagine 10 minutes, you're paying 1,000 shillings, which is Kenya almost £10 here, or maybe £8. So information is free. Use that information and get yourself understand what's required. The world is getting smaller. The world is more interconnected. You don't have to be in the military. You can be in anything. As long as you got a skill and you're willing to learn, you can always make it. Just like when we say don't export raw materials, you can. Yeah, I'm one of the products of the exported raw material. I came from Africa with no knowledge. Now I've got the knowledge, so I'm now sellable. But we can do more. You can have the better ideas. You can be anyone you want to be, as long as you got the determination. Use the internet, learn, get us, watch our shows. Get us on Facebook, get us on YouTube. You can get any. There's so much information out there.
Thank you very much, Jackson, for your time. And I don't want to water down what you have just said. I want it to stick in our minds the way it is. And to our viewers, wherever you are watching us, Thank you for being with us. You will join us again at same time next week. This is a weekly show, Julius Mbaluto Live. Not to forget to say, sponsored by Tap Tap Send, where you can send money from Western countries, which you can see on their website, to Africa. And we cannot forget our great man who has been behind the technologies, is Joseph Adamson. He prefers, in short, to be called JJ. So thank you, JJ, for being there for us. Thank you for those who are watching us and made comment on Facebook. Till next time is the end of our show. Have a blessed evening or afternoon, wherever you are, whatever your time zone. Have a nice one. All from us. Thank you.